In just the last 90 days, Boring said accounts associated with the Daily Wire have received 104 violations for hateful and derogatory content, mainly directed at commentary about transgender issues.
Hey, good to meet you. Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you. We're honored to have you. I'm sure a lot of our viewers are familiar with you from YouTube, so it's a big deal. You're popular there, that your account was suspended. Do you have any idea why?
No, I've heard conflicting reports from people who've emailed me within Google, ranging from thoughts that it had something to do with the political content to an administrative error. It's not clear at all why it occurred or why I was turned back on, although it did happen after I released a number of tweets documenting what had happened. So I don't think that was just fluke. But I have no idea. That's actually part of the frightening part, is that
yes,
I could be shut off. I have no idea why. They turned me back on. I have no idea why. It's not a trivial matter when those sorts of things happen.
Because there aren't options. I mean, Google is, in effect, a monopoly, both in search and really in its ownership of YouTube. I mean, if you were cut off, what would that mean? You'd not be able to disseminate your views.
There have been more than 200 violations in the past few months, he added. Accounts for Matt Walsh, Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens, Michael Knowles, Andrew Klavan, Brett Cooper, and Jordan Peterson have all received violations, Boring said. Penalties include Walsh being demonetized last month, as you know. And the latest is that Owens and Knowles are being suspended for 7 days after receiving a second strike, and Peterson got his first strike. That's 3 strikes in 90 days, and an account. Well, once you get 3 strikes, the account is deleted. That's what happens. So apparently, Candace Owens and Michael Knowles are on their second strike. All YouTube has to do is find some sort of pretense to give them a third strike, and they're banished from the platform forever.
I wanted to address you guys today because something big happened in Babylon Bee land. We got suspended from Twitter over the weekend. We wrote a joke where, well, not a joke, we wrote an actual article where we honored Rachel Levine, and we got suspended from Twitter. So what happened is we got a message from Twitter saying that we are locked out of our account and we're not allowed to post. You know, your account features have been limited. Basically means that we have no access to our Twitter account. And we are not allowed back in until we go say 5 Hail Jack Dorseys, it sounds like. Basically, we have to go in and delete the tweet.
This is what's happening, and it's all about the trans issue. So it's, like I said, 100 violations. Almost all of them have to do with the trans issue. And they also are violations of policies that are not written anywhere, that were not told to anyone ahead of time. So YouTube basically just decided a few weeks ago that quote-unquote misgendering is now going to be a violation of their terms of service. They never said that before. That was never said. But they decided it, and now they're using that as a pretense.
And that's the latest in the battle between Fox News and former host Tucker Carlson. And reportedly, Fox News sent Tucker Carlson a cease and desist letter over his Twitter series.
When Fox and Tucker parted ways, Fox still paid Tucker and said, you can't work for anyone else until the end of this contract. Tucker doesn't like that answer, and he wants to get back on air immediately.
Now, it turns out that a lot of people at Fox News are not really happy with this, as you would imagine. A lot of employees over at Fox News are not particular fans of this radical gender ideology, which presumably is why Fox experimented with a solution to monitor employee commitment to DEI. It's an AI platform called Escalera, which tracks employees' commitment to the cult of DEI. Fox leadership told employees to sign up for Escalera so the AI could help them engage in activities deepening their understanding of identity and exploring more nuanced D&I topics. Escalera says that it pulls in data from various sources, including the email and payroll systems. It generates a peer comfort index and a diversity index based in part on how employees practice micro-affirmations. Wow, so they're monitoring how often you micro-affirm your compatriots.
But the way that they protect themselves, and they protect themselves from lawsuits and everything else, is by making the rules intentionally vague, intentionally opaque. You know, with policies like, well, you can't have hateful conduct. You can't engage in harassment. What does harassment mean? Like, how can I harass somebody with a YouTube video? Okay, if I'm sitting here in a studio and I make a YouTube video, there's nobody else around me, and I post it to this platform with millions of other videos, how could I be harassing someone?
For many years, unfair censorship has been an enormous concern for both Christians and conservatives who believe and proclaim ideas that are taboo to the people who have the most power in the culture. The politicians and big tech overlords who have the power to create laws and policies that shut down debate about controversial issues in the public square. And it seems that things are getting worse and worse, and the consequences of simply saying what you believe are getting more and more severe.
Conservative provocateur, talk show host, podcaster, Steven Crowder, he has been suspended yet again from YouTube, and he doesn't appear to really know why. But if you know much about Steven Crowder, you might have a pretty good idea. But still, maybe the hard part is figuring out exactly which thing he and his crew said or did got him in this position.
All right, so last night, YouTube sent us the second channel strike here. This is overlay. So this is gonna prevent us from streaming on YouTube for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And as usual, they did not provide any details for the suspension. And it's one of those things where we could say, hey, we could guess, but it's just so hot. It's like, I mean, take your pick.
We have been officially censored by YouTube. They took down one of our videos for misinformation. But why are big media organizations not censored for misinformation in the same way? Is it because YouTube are part of the mainstream media now?
The terrifying part of all of this is that the powerful people in big tech really do have the power to effectively silence the people they do not agree with. Matt Walsh has said, and I agree, that because of the number of people who use YouTube, it is one of the primary drivers of national conversation. And if YouTube decides to remove you from its platform, you get taken out of a large portion of the national conversation.
And we want to go a little bit further, because the advantage to being on YouTube is that YouTube is one of the platforms that drives the national conversation, right? That's why it's valuable to be there. That's why I would like to be there if I could be there while keeping my integrity. So if you leave, you risk taking yourself out of the conversation.
Obviously, we would rather that YouTube not have that kind of power, and we would rather that the organization with this kind of power is a champion of free speech, such as what we have seen Elon Musk do with Twitter. But the reality is that YouTube currently dominates the market in this area. And it's not just YouTube that is censoring particular voices and giving preferential treatment towards a particular group of voices. We've also seen Rotten Tomatoes and IMDB constantly change its policies to suppress the voices of people who are tired of seeing woke agendas in movies.
And so several websites now have banded together to silence viewers from leaving their actual reviews. It's getting so bad that news media outlets are referring to, the global reviews of it as like, just the worst thing ever. It's just, it's so evil. People in international markets don't like The Little Mermaid. This is why the casting happens the way that it does. It provides an amazing shield to Hollywood, because if you don't like The Little Mermaid, well, then you're a racist. If you do like it, you're stunning and brave. Either way, Disney wins. And the idea that IMDB shifted its entire review process now and warned their customers that they're not allowed to leave negative reviews. It's wild. IMDb has now become just another woke piece of trash, just like Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, it's insane how they want to silence people.
And we have seen the largest tennis tournaments ban the top tennis player in the world from participating simply because he wants to protect his body from potential vaccine side effects.
Have you received any vaccination against COVID?
I have not.
Why?
I understand the consequences of my decision. And one of the consequences of my decision was not going to Australia, and I was prepared not to go. And I understand that not being vaccinated today, I'm unable to travel to most of the tournaments at the moment.
And that's a price you're willing to pay?
That is the price that I'm willing to pay.
Ultimately, are you prepared to forego the chance to be the greatest player that ever picked up a racket, statistically, because you feel so strongly about this jab?
Yes. I do.
But as things stand, if this means that you miss the French Open, is that a price you'd be willing to pay?
Yes, that is the price that I'm willing to pay.
And if it means that you miss Wimbledon this year, again, that's a price you're willing to pay?
Yes.
Why, Novak? Why? Why do
This interviewer cannot fathom why Djokovic would be willing to sideline himself from the most significant tennis tournaments in the world over getting the shot. Similarly, the overlords at places like YouTube cannot fathom why so many of us are so adamant about continuing to say things that they believe constitute hate speech, meanness, and bigotry. However, the answer is simple. People like me continue to say what we say, despite enormous opposition, simply because we believe what we are saying is true and people need to hear the truth, even if they are offended by it.
I brought my Catholic friend and you offended him. I'll never come back. I brought my Mormon friend and you offended him. I brought my wife and you offended her. And I'm saying, you want to paralyze me? Then tell me you're having 3,000 people sitting in front of me and my job is to not offend any of them. No, I am here to offend all of you. And in so doing, I have offended my own heart. No, don't come to Grace Church if you don't want to be offended.
I don't make videos because I want to be famous or because I want to make money. This is why YouTube demonetizing my channel won't stop me from continuing to make videos. Because first, I don't need the money, and second, I make videos for a higher purpose: to glorify God, proclaim the gospel of Jesus Christ, and present the truth to lost sinners who desperately need to be saved from the wrath they deserve for their rebellion against an infinitely holy and righteous God. So as long as YouTube still allows me to publish videos here, I will never stop making videos that proclaim the truth of the Bible and the gospel of Jesus Christ.
And as we deal with the question of God's wrath and the universality of man's guilt, in order for us to grasp this concept of justification, we have to come to grips with the fact that man is indeed guilty, worthy of the wrath that is to come, in desperate need of salvation, and completely unable to do anything to save himself. The only way to freedom is coming to God in repentance and faith, trusting wholly and completely on the person and work of Jesus Christ, his imputed righteousness, and his payment and propitiation of God's wrath on your behalf. When you walk therein, you are free. Until then, you are in complete and utter bondage, and you're fooling yourself. My admonition to you today: come to Christ and be free.
Thank you so much for watching. If you like these videos and want to help support this channel, the best way to do it is to just watch these videos until the end and click the subscribe button. Thank you so much for your support and encouragement.